people who have been in this work for a while, they've certainly run into people where ayahuasca ceremonies and even plant dietas is not really helping them. So they're not
Yeah,
getting better from plant medicine. Why do you think that is?
yeah, absolutely. This occurs, and it's not for everyone, my friend.
Hmm.
And for me, it's an indicator that if you're doing something, whatever it may be, right? If you're doing something and you're not getting any result, or you're getting a negative result,
Hmm.
maybe you need to rethink what you're doing,
Hmm.
right? So for me, I mean, I tell you, for myself and Reina, we have hawk's eyes. When we see somebody that they come and they're, for whatever reason, they just don't get it. They drink ayahuasca, they do ceremony, or they do plant diet, and they
Hmm.
don't feel anything, they don't get anything, and they're not really, there's nothing there.
Hmm.
Uh, we are quite frank with them, and we tell them, hey, this may not be for you.
Hmm.
And but most of the time, we don't have to do that, Mike, because the way we work is people come and they figure it out for themselves.
Hmm.
And we have a saying here: our boat always leaves at 5.
Hmm.
So that's to say that if it's not right for you, we're not here to convince you to stay.
Yeah.
You know, there's no point. And I'm the first person. My part of my reputation is being brutally honest with people.
Hmm.
If it's not for them, then why waste their time?
Yeah.
And there are many other options out there right now in the world besides ayahuasca and plant diets.
Hmm.
There are many other reasonable options, and I encourage people that that are not getting any results to really take a look at themselves, do an analysis, and ask themselves the big question: why? All
Hmm.
right. Ask themselves that question, and sometimes they could get a result, but they have so much block and
Hmm.
they haven't found anybody or a process to really help them break things open.
Yeah.
That's another thing. So it could also be the teacher. It could also be the style, the protocols that they're using, or the
Hmm.
diets, the wrong plants. There's many things there. And I'll tell
Right.
you just an example, quick from my personal experience. When I first started working in, let's say, with the public here,
Hmm.
uh, I ended up with a reputation. So my reputation was, I'm hardcore. I can fix you. If nobody can fix you, Gabriel can fix you. That was my reputation.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, so back then I'm just starting out. I had didn't know a lot of people, just word of mouth. And that's how we've
Hmm.
always been. We never got a lot of business from we never advertised much or anything.
Yeah.
It was all word of mouth, referral. But in the beginning, I basically just starting out, I accepted whoever came my way, right?
Hmm.
So I'll tell you, my friend, it was a disaster. I mean, I got all of these bad cases. I
Hmm.
got all these sick people, and many of them were coming, big surprise, from retreat centers
Yeah.
that they got hammered in the retreat centers,
Hmm.
or they were taking this plant or that plant and they got crossed. They
Hmm.
got crossed up, doing San Pedro and Cusco and Pisac or whatever,
Hmm.
and mixing it with Cambo and mixing it with ayahuasca or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I have all of these type of cases, and they used to come to me, and I used to fix a lot of them.
Hmm.
I fixed some really tough cases, like people that would have went nuts or were going nuts, going crazy,
Hmm.
um, really extreme situations. And so what I can tell you from that experience is, yes, uh, part of it is part of these people of your question. Part of it, this work just isn't right for them. Okay.
Hmm.
Part of it, they just, for whatever reason, maybe now's not the time. Maybe they need to do something else first, and then possibly, but
Hmm.
it's not good for them now. And then another portion of these people that they've been doing this and that and not getting results or getting crossed up
Hmm.
is they've had a bad practice. They've
Hmm.
had bad teaching, or they've had, something wrong, bad diet. A bad diet can make you sick.
Hmm.
These are all indicators of the person. They're not getting, not just no benefit, but actually the plant not doing them something healthy, giving them
Hmm.
some harm. And this is something to be conscious of. And as a healer doing this work, We have to always look at the person's diets and see, are their diets good or are they crossed up?
Mm-hmm.
So this, for a number of years, this is what I did. You know, I didn't have so many clients when I starting out, and I got a lot of these cases.
Mm-hmm.
I got a ton of these cases, and I saw a lot of this coming from different retreat centers or other curanderos. And a lot of times it just comes down to with the curanderos here, and it's not that, because there are good ones and there are bad ones, you know,
sure.
like everything.
Right.
They're the good and the bad. And what it comes down to many times is these people the foreigners that come, I think many of them come with good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
They want to learn, they want to get healing and things like that. But what happens is they have no vision to really see who the maestro,
right.
who is he or she. Is
right.
she of a good heart? Does she have good intentions for them as well, right? So they're just absolutely beginners. So they have a lot of trust. And I think sometimes like they trust way too much, the curanderos, the healers they work with. And it's not just here in Peru. I see it all over the world. You know, if you go to India, you see the gurus there, and you go all over the world. You have these spiritual masters. It's always how do you say, happening in the world that you hear about some spiritual master taking advantage of the disciples. And they get caught up in all of the worst stuff like money and greed and sex and this and that. And they were supposed to be like a high level spiritual master, right? They fall into the abyss with all of these worldly desires, right? So this is a very common theme in the world, especially in the world of, you know, mysticism and mystical knowledge and healing. And again, I make the point, Michael, I did before, that you really need to be your own doctor. You really need to be your own maestro, your own guru. Like, you can have teachers, but you need to trust yourself the most. And I never liked that idea of, you know, you have here in Peru, you have, oh yeah, she's my maestra, or he's my maestro, and my maestro, mi maestro, and this and that. But if you as a student are putting too much weight, all of your trust on this person, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, right? Even if they're good, they're not going to bail your butt out when you get into trouble. You are going to have to bail yourself out. And I know that from personal experience. So the best bet is trust yourself and focus on yourself, but with humility. This is what I suggest to people. And because I've seen it, you know, I've been to 35 countries. I lived in China for a couple years. I've been all over the East, and I met and I studied with some really high level teachers, Taoist teachers that, like, the Taoists are very, very trustworthy and loyal, right? And what I found here in Peru is a lot of the curanderos here are tricky and they're tricksters, and they can turn on you, right? So it's quite a contrast for me to go from China to here. But in the middle of that, I've seen it all, you know. I always tell people, you know, for us, Reina and I, we're so humble, and we do all this work from our hearts. Like, we just honestly want to help people. You know, we see how bad the world is now and how tough it is, how difficult and challenging. And we just want from our hearts to just share our work, our knowledge, our wisdom, and help people. And that's it. You know, there's no guru posturing here. There's no, we're up and we're the maestro. No. And unfortunately, there's a lot of this in the world. So to go back to your question, this could also be a reason that somebody is not getting a result. Somebody's not getting a result in whatever work they're doing, whether it be, you know, plant medicine, Amazonian folk medicine, or yoga, or meditation, or whatever. I'll go back, the person need to look for the result, in my opinion. You should never accept, especially a spiritual tradition or a mystical tradition, never accept by just blind faith, right? You should always look for some type of little, even if it's just a minuscule result, a little bit of improvement, then you're doing okay. But you need to be honest with yourself. You need to say, okay, am I getting improvement, or am I the same, or am I worse? You know, we need to sit down and we need to be honest with ourselves here.